you say web services, that's really a broad description. It's kind of any software-based thing that's running on the web. That could be Facebook, that's a web service. You know, Twitter, that's a web service. eBay, that's a web service. So a web service is just something web-based, but it's obviously that's something you want to think about for your business. You know, what kind of web services could you set up for your users to use or take part in? Because there's just so many different things that you could do. The opportunities and the possibilities are limitless. But what I want to show you real quick is just a couple quick resources that you may want to think about. One of the things that you really want to think about is setting up a community site for your market. And if you have enough users in your market, especially if you already have some kind of distribution where you can kind of get to quite a few users, then you can jumpstart like a forum, jumpstart a community just like a forum or like a little social network. It's going to be harder if you don't already get much traffic or have many people on an email list or have many people yet at least that you have connected as friends on social networks or followers on Twitter. But once you do, you'll want to think about setting up a community of some sort. It's a great way to let your customers and your prospects kind of talk to each other. And again, not every market is going to be one that's, you know, suited for having a community. If, you know, you're selling something that's like how to solve back pain, and if you actually sell something that cures back pain, well, then your customers are probably just going to buy from you once and hopefully have back pain no more, and there's nothing more to talk about related to back pain ever again. And so having a community for previous people with back pain doesn't really make sense. But in other markets where people are passionate about the topic and the subject matter, such as any hobby or anything that someone spends quite a bit of their time on, usually that's a pretty good example of something that would make a good community site. So this is vBulletin. It's software. I think that's the #1 discussion forum software on the internet, or at least it's in the top 2 or 3. I think it's #1 though, because I think it's the most widely used one. It's definitely one of the top. But basically you can buy this software. It's pretty inexpensive, a couple $100. You can put it on a server and it's ready to go. It is incredibly powerful. You know, you can customize the colors and how it looks and what the forum names are, and people can instant message each other and can upload photos, and it manages photo albums. It's really great. And you know, we briefly talked about a big part of content, or what you can do for content, is user-generated content, where your users, your audience, is creating pages for you in some way, and that grows your total footprint, your total ownership, so to speak, of the internet, because you're creating more and more and more pages. And so if you have a forum, and if you can actually get a forum that can sustain itself, that's the hard part, is kind of get it going with, you know, enough people talking. And because, like I mentioned before, it's kind of a catch-22. People aren't going to go there and participate if there's no one there to participate with. And so, well, then how do you get it started? Well, you have to kind of steamroll it and just get a bunch of people to come in at once and just really get the activity going to get it to take off. But if you can do that, and your market will support a forum and a community, and once it gets going, it could really be great for generating traffic for your site, because a lot, you know, the pages from a discussion forum can really build up. They can get indexed by the search engines, and then those just can be other ways that people can find you to end up, you know, coming to your site and hopefully buying from you. So you want to consider, that's an action step for you to take. You know, can my business, can my market support a community site, either a social network or some kind of a discussion forum? Will that work for my market? Now, in many markets, you'll find there are already community sites or already popular discussion forums, and you may or may not be able to compete with those. You can almost always have some sort of success competing. You know, if your market currently has, if you know of, a few big discussion forums in your market, it doesn't mean that you can't also set up one. But sometimes it's hard to compete when there are some really big forums in your market that have already reached critical mass. And so some people that know of them are like, well, why would I waste so much time on your little forum when everybody's already over there talking? So it can be a little challenging. However, if you can pull it off and you can make it work, a forum can be a great way of generating traffic to your site from people telling other people about your forum, as well as your forum getting indexed in the search engines like I already mentioned. So just check out vBulletin and just look at the features. It's just it's a tremendous piece of software for a pretty low price. Another piece of software I just want to mention when we're talking about web services and different possibilities is this one, and that's PHP Fox. And if you've ever wanted to have your own social network, like your own MySpace or your own Facebook, this will let you do it. I think it's like $200 or $300. You install it on your own site, and then you can tweak it and customize it any way you want, and wham, you have your own social network for whatever you want, and you own it. You make all the money from, you're not going to have sponsored ads running on it from some other service that you're using or anything like that. You can put ads on it if you want, and you make all the money. You can do anything you want with it. It's yours. So I just want to mention that. That's PHP Fox. You can go to their site, phpfox.com. And if you thought about having your own social network or you just want to dabble in it, I recommend this software. A lot of other people are starting to use this software, and I've seen some pretty good reviews from it, so you may want to try it out. So when you think of web services, of course, the sky's the limit. It's anything you could dream of in your mind that's database-driven probably, that has to do with information on a web page of people viewing information, manipulating information, entering information, viewing information, charting, graphing information. Again, anything you could think of. But when it comes to some community things like having a discussion forum or social network, which or chat rooms, which are some of the most popular web services, you may want to consider some of these just kind of off the shelf, ready to go, site in a box type thing where you could just be up and running and you don't have to spend months of waiting for a programmer to develop it. And again, it's all about the marketing. It's not about, getting and becoming a software developer per se. So sometimes the faster you can get up and running just to do just as good of a job or at least close to it to start generating traffic will give you more of a return than if you're trying to perfect something and do something that's totally yours from the ground up. So that's just a consideration to make when you deal with some kind of software project. Is there something out there that exists now that I could just buy and start using? And is there an advantage to that, or will I benefit at least in the short term rather than trying to create something on my own completely from scratch? So that's something I want you to keep in mind when you start thinking about the software, because there's a lot of things that are already made like these types of tools, like PHP Fox or vBulletin, where you don't have to just put in months of programming development time and expense to, for example, create your own to have your own forum, when you could just buy forum software that's being run successfully by thousands of other websites all over the internet, and then you could just do it too by paying $199 or whatever their price is. So something for you to keep in mind.